Okay, so YouTube is starting to go live right now, and I'm gonna go live on Instagram as soon as it gives me that cue. And come on, Insta. Oh, we already got one. There we go. So I'm going live on Insta right now. And ladies and gentlemen, for that one viewer for the time being, and for the for the replay,
You the one, man. You the one.
You the one. You the
for
one.
the replay, we're gonna go ahead and get this thing started. Come on. Oh, never mind. Where's it at? Oh, there it is. Okay. Sorry, folks.
Cold Rice Media.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in another Monday night here, and I have done a little bit of advertisement on this episode, and I am very, very pleased and welcome to help these guys on board here from Fresno, California. I think all you guys are from Fresno. Y'all still in the same area? Okay. We've got the fellas from Now in Session. I put this out there earlier in the week. I've been wanting to get together with these guys for a while. You know, we're all grown men, so you know the schedule kind of gets in the way. We all got our day jobs, we all got our night jobs, and then the weekend. I mean, this is all kind of like side gigs for us anyway. So finally, as you can see from our tired faces today, we've had a long day, but we've decided to connect because this is very important to us. And I don't know, I kind of just forced them. I said, y'all gotta come through. This is our first time meeting. What's up, fellas?
What's good?
What's up? What's going on?
I'm going to put some names to the faces real quick with a few banners. First of all, we've got Mr. Lucky in the building. Oh, and Mr. Toby. Mr. Toby. I told you it's been a long day. Okay, we got Toby. Say what's up, Toby.
What's up, guys? How's everyone doing today? It's Monday. Let's get it.
Thank you, sir. And then for the next person up is okay. Let me go ahead and bring. Let me go ahead and just bring Mr. Lucky up here because he's been with me this whole time.
Just kind of. What's good, everybody? It's your boy LL Cool Lucky, man. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate Raymond for having us, baby. We are now in session. Let's go.
Let's go. I love the energy, and of course, not to say the least here, Mr. Charles. What's up, Charles?
What's up, everyone? Just pretend I said something cool like Lucky did. All right, guys.
I think Charles is a gentleman that actually also, if you guys are following the Insta, you're usually the one that's putting up the food.
No, that's the other fat guy.
it's some of y'all because every time I'm scrolling through, I'm like, God damn, these guys are eating out all the time, man. So you guys have just the best food on there. It's like you got sushi the other day, and I was like, man, Charles, cut it out.
Certain days, man.
I am the
certain days we post,
but Lucky is the one that posts all the food. Because he has time to actually like think about the food and then take pictures of it. But you know, me, when the food comes to me, I don't got time to think. It's going in my belly.
Oh,
that's
Jesus.
what I think.
That's kind of me. Right. If I took a picture, there's already a big old bite, and it's like, oh man, there goes my content.
If it's pho, it's me.
It's always
if it's pho, it's me. So that's the only thing I post.
Or the gambling.
Oh, yeah.
That's you, right? I seen a lot of chips. It's like, okay, well, he's up. Well, for all those folks that actually are not familiar with your group, okay, and I'm elated that we're actually here together because I watch a lot of you guys' episodes as much as I can, and sometimes I don't, it's awkward sometimes to just be staring into your guys' faces as I'm driving, just looking over, but I have it playing in the car. I like the content. There's a lot of things that kind of just start my brain stirring, and I actually want to hop on a pod when I'm actually listening to y'all. It's refreshing to have, because one of the reasons why I even started the podcasting is because I had all this pent up opinions, right? COVID did a lot of things to a lot of people. And one of the main things is just you got more into yourself because you got cooked in. And it was refreshing to actually, when I first heard about y'all, the conversations and the topics that you guys actually like bring forth and just freely talk about, just because you guys are living it. I was very impressed. So I want my audience to actually even carry over and actually see what you guys are all about. Your catalog is pretty deep. I think, Lucky, I think you had mentioned this. You guys are going into almost your second year here, and there's a lot of stuff in your catalog there. Can you kind of just can you piggyback on that and just kind of, like, somebody let me know a little bit more of exactly what it is that you guys are coming for and how that even developed as a group?
Well, we kind of started off first with there was 3 of us. Lucky kind of came later into the picture. We kind of had the idea. We were drinking one night, and me, Charles, the other guy was Sam. We kind of we're just kind of bonding, and we kind of have like an epiphany, like, man, we should record this stuff, the stuff that we're talking about that guys don't really talk about, right? Like, it's over a bonfire and we're just drinking and chilling, and these stuff are deep. We can't talk about these stuff to our significant other, or they won't understand. So we kind of say, you know what, let's just record this stuff, because we both have kids. All 3 of us had kids, and we wanted to leave something behind for them, so that way it kind of like lessons, right, for them to kind of refer back to, like, as we live it, we're learning at the same time. So that's how it pretty much started. And Lucky kind of came later on, because we needed some more upbeat energy to add to the mix. So Lucky was a good candidate for that issue. And we maybe 6 months before we actually went live, we did a lot of mistakes, and so 6 months into it, we went live, and we started posting everything up, and not caring what people would say, but we wanted to kind of speak the truth, our truth out there, and start conversations for people that we see that wasn't being talked about. It was just being brushed under the rug.
And at that time too, there wasn't really a Southeast Asian podcast here in the Central Valley.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of really wanted to really focus more on how we can put out content, but also elevating our culture, elevating our heritage. You don't often see Southeast Asian males speak in spaces like this, or being very authentic, sharing their tradition, sharing stories, right? And I think at that moment, we told ourselves, like, hey, this is a great opportunity for other viewers to see that, and here locally, there's a lot of women that are very in great position to speak, and majority are allowed women to do more of that, right? And we don't see men do it as much. And all us 3 went to high school together. So we actually just kind of formed that friendship, that bonding ever since we were in high school, and people went out their own ways. Charles went to school. Toby did his own business. I went to the military. And we kind of just came back to form that alliance again. And we're all about really, really uplifting our community, uplifting our culture, sharing stories, and how those stories can kind of align with some of your beliefs, if not your beliefs, but giving you an opportunity to hear that voice, So that's kind of how it all kind of meshed in together. Right, Charles?
Yeah, definitely. Because when Toby's talking about how we started, I remember we were recording, and our first 5 recordings didn't get recorded. Like, we started off with this cheap ass microphone from Amazon.
Hold on, what? So hold on, run that back. So you guys did 5 episodes, and none of it.
No, we had no idea what the hell we were doing. We had no idea what the hell we were doing.
Like, were you guys on?
So I bought this cheap microphone from Amazon, hooked it to our laptop, and just hit record. And we were talking, and mind you, our first sessions were going on for 3 hours. We didn't cut that shit down until later. So, like, after 3 hours, we did a playback, and we could barely hear anything. We're like, oh man, we'll figure it out next time. So 5 episodes in, we couldn't figure it out until we actually start learning things on YouTube and buying a mixer and better mics and all that stuff. And if you actually go back to our first real recording and see how the quality that was, where the videos was so bad that we just didn't even show the videos. We just did audio.
Was that
So we came.
that the one in the garage? Because I seen
Yeah.
the one of the older ones I seen was you guys was all in the and that was already Lucky was in there. It was in the garage and it looked like you had a tarp up or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Bro.
like, damn.
We were in a barn. We were in a barn.
Yeah.
It was 110 degrees
Mhm.
that summer. We had a was it Toby? What we had the the duct system that we had.
Oh yes,
Oh,
It was
rigged up
What's
some.
yeah.
And
And
you
the
guys
first
know
day-
Cali hot is hot. Cali hot, right? At 110 degree in a barn. Man.
That's
And
wild.
the first day Lucky joined us, decided to bring food for everybody. He brought this spicy ass papaya and all these fucking food. You know, you gotta have to take shits. And then we didn't have no place to go to the bathroom. Like, dude, I was like, what the hell's wrong with this guy?
So was the whole format, and then I think you had said, man, you guys were recording 2-3 hour sessions, and it's always, when you get together with the homies, it doesn't matter, and especially if you're like childhood friends, it doesn't matter if it's been like a month, a week,
Right.
if it's been 10 years, you can just catch up just right then and there, right? So these episodes, were you guys even thinking about, oh, maybe if we're doing this podcasting, we should go short content, long content, or do you guys just press play?
No, we
We
just
just press
record,
play.
record. You guys,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. We just press record because what we did was we, none of us had the background in media, so we didn't know what we were doing. So, but we knew our passion and our mission was to record the stuff that we wanted to say, and the thing that kind of propelled us was that we wanted to leave something behind for our kids.
Yeah.
And these lessons that we learned throughout our lives, and we're like, you know what? We kind of talked about it. We said, let's just record it, right? And let's not take anything out. Let's just catch all the the outtakes, all the stuff that's in there. Let's just leave it in there because that's going to show part of our personality as well. Because if we start cutting stuff, it's not gonna feel authentic. And we want it to feel authentic, like you're sitting around the bonfire with us, just chilling, hearing the OG story, our experiences. And we wanted to capture that emotion so that way people could feel like they are a part of our group in a way, even though we never met. We wanted to give that emotion out,
Yeah. So just imagine the vibe that we had when our first
Right.
time that we sat down and talked, because it was during a funeral and we were drinking. And
Oh
you know how
yeah,
like when you're drinking and you start talking to each other about life lessons and like more mindset stuff, and we're like, dude,
that's that truth serum.
Yeah, we're all like speaking our truths, and we're like, hey, I'm pretty sure people want to listen because people have their opinions, their stories that they want to add on to ours. So we're like, I mean, let's just record it and let's throw it out there,
Right.
see what happens. And we didn't want to put any kind of boundaries on it. That's why it was going on so long.
Yeah.
Because some nights we stopped just because our wives calls said, hey, when are you guys coming home? 3 o'clock in the morning.
What are you doing? You guys at that? And it's like, we're just sitting here talking and recording. It's like,
Right.
huh? Whatever.
It's
You're
like
at
that time. At that time too, it was kind of post-COVID, so we were getting a lot of the Asian hate, right? And so in that way, we were kind of like, dude, we don't have a voice in our community. Let's be that voice. Let's be that leader in the community and kind of speak up for our people, because that Thai guy, that old Thai guy that got beat up, and that died, that they beat up in Oakland, I think it was. We were angry. We felt it in everyone, but nobody wanted to say anything because that was part of our culture, right? As growing up, we're like, hey, don't cause trouble, don't do this and that. But a part of us like, nah, that's could have been our uncle, that could have been our grandma, so we had to stand up in a way, and this was our way, was to voice our opinion.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of stuff that you guys are saying right now that's really resonating. I mean, it's it's good for you as a group to want that to actually start it going, because that's definitely what I was we were feeling the same thing up up in the Northwest in Seattle when all the COVID stuff was going on. Things are pent up, and like you said, and again, like what you had mentioned, there's a couple of things that are really sticking. It's basically why I started is like I'm doing this also to leave something behind for my 3 boys. And it's I've always wanted to have just my own monologue, the camera, just because I really want them to know what I stood for. And life goes by super fast, and it's like, and especially with our parents. And I think you had mentioned, like, you guys kind of started your first pod during a funeral, and those are a lot of things that'll kick you in the ass. Be like, yo, life's short, and And I know, and like for me, I've lost maybe about it's been too many. I'm just not even gonna put, and just most recently we lost one here. So it's one of those things to where it's like, yo, he was a dope dude. We had great conversations. Love him. He was such a good guy. He was misunderstood. But here's the thing: if we had the opportunity to actually chop it up and people get to see him, and here's the thing: even if people don't see me as often out there and doing these things, like you guys mentioned, it's like it sits in these these libraries, these YouTube libraries, and my kids can always go back, be like,
Exactly.
I miss dad, or like, hey, the homeboys could always be like, yo, I never really peeped this pod. What was he even talking about? And he'll hop on. You leave that, just that entrail. Be like, yeah, damn, we should have caught up, but here's what it is. And now we're speaking to them. Also, during that time of COVID, there was a lot of misunderstood opinions, misunderstood type of, like it may be political during that time, or may it be like choices of doing this or not doing that. Everybody kind of was separated to were like masking or unmasking, vax or unvaccine, red or blue type of a thing, like with regards to politics. There's a lot of people that kind of fell off just because of that, just choosing sides and just that separation. And I think during that time, I was like, the non-vocal minority, or maybe it's a majority at this point, needed to be heard. And I think that was my main thing. It was like to help me understand what's your stance versus what my stance is, and let's maybe collab, because I'm not seeing what you guys are seeing, because we're all kind of just pent up, scared. So that's what a lot of the reasons that why I even started. And it definitely is relating to what you guys were going through. But you guys were, you guys were going through it as a group, and I think that's dope. And you guys are still going pretty damn good right now. It's like, coming into 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So I want to go ahead and pivot over, just because one of the main reasons why I've been looking forward to this is to have these types of conversations, just and how you guys are representing your community, and just yourself as an individual, and your common understanding as homeboys, right? So where it's like, we're gonna go out there and we're gonna represent ourselves as who we are. Forget the takes, forget the sometimes things require editing, but let's just run it. And you get, from me having heard you guys podcast and kind of listening to what you guys go a little unfiltered, and you guys actually go in deep. It's a lot of thought-provoking stuff. So there's definitely a lot of topics I can dive in with you guys with, and I actually wanted to, maybe do another crossover episode so we can go dive more deeper into your guys' topics. But this one was I had advertised this on IG. I wanted to talk about the stuff that's going to be happening, the event that's going to be happening later on this year. Very pivotal, very important event, which is the election. I hit you guys up about this. No hesitation. Let's go. It's like, and then what's on the table? Everything's on the table. Of course, it's going to be thoughtful conversation. It's going to represent yourselves, and as maybe as an individual. And if you're thinking about in the back of your head, it's like, I represent myself as family, but I respect that. But the first, and so I'm moving into that. The first question, really, I'm hoping to ask, and this kind of was playing through in my head as I walked it through and what this episode would be. The Lao community, and you guys are all Lao, right? Yeah. Okay.
We're all Laos.
So I can only speak for myself, and also who I've touched and who I've been around, at least with the Filipino community and the voting styles. Does the Lao community vote as a whole? It's like, what's your experience as a community, as a group? Do Lao folks vote?
To be honest, I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of people have a lot of opinions, but I don't know if people actually go and take actions on those opinions, like actually going in line and going to vote. If you ask somebody like personally, like which side you choose, or like who do you support, they'll tell you who to support. But as far as actually going out and casting the vote, I think a lot of people just all talk, and nobody's really doing action. They just want to be heard, but not really do anything to make a difference.
Right.
But I also see that, some of the younger generation, because it's been advertised a little bit better, how there's phone call banking, there's voter stations throughout the whole city here in Fresno. So when I used to work for a refugee serving organization, I've noticed an increase in young voters. Your first generation, your older folks, some of them may not be there, and some of them don't even have their citizen. Some of them may not have those rights yet, you know, and the language barrier is always something that's very hard to tackle because some people don't understand some of the voting information, how to even circle some of those things, right? And I'll give you a perfect example. In my family, everybody in my family can vote. All of us are voting. There's 7 of us, including my mom and my dad. They're voting. However, when I go vote first, I have to explain to my mom and dad that there is language translation in some of these voting polls that you can go to, and they'll explain to you some of those. The names are on there, you know. And so for elder folks, some of them can't even read English. It's hard for them to read English to even circle a name on that ballot. Or your proposition 80, 97,000, whatever proposition you have, they don't even know anything about this proposition. So to answer that question, I think it's a give and take. It's individualized, but I do see more representation than before in the Lao community as far as voting.
Toby, did you have a take on that?
Yeah, I'm from the hood, so people don't really vote when they're in the hood, you know. So and a lot of community that I see, right? They don't know. They don't want to go in there. They don't want to get involved because a lot of them have issues with the law, or a lot of them don't trust the law, and so we're like, no, fuck that. We're not gonna go and vote, you know, because it's gonna be the same anyway. It doesn't matter who is in power; they're gonna push the same agenda, and you hear a lot of that rhetoric in our community, and the only thing that they do is just keep to ourselves, right? But we as a community, the younger generation now has to integrate and has to adapt, and we need to have our own voice because we're not part of the old generation anymore. We're not part of the new generation. We're the transition generation that's gonna bring the younger crowd to vote. And I think the younger people will do that, but they need guidance. They need someone to kind of step up and say, hey, this is the correct path, right, to go and do these things, no matter what side of the aisle you're on. You know, like your voice means something.
Yeah. So that, to go back to your point, was like being in the hood.
Right.
And I grew up, you know, in pretty much the same type of areas. Lifestyle for, you know, especially I'm first generation. It sounds like you guys are also first generation here.
Right.
You got both my parents were working. Well, my dad was working 2 jobs. My mom was basically up in the morning waiting for, and we had a single vehicle, and she was like just waiting for my dad to get off work, and she'd be watching Filipino shows all day. So there really wasn't that, like you had mentioned, there really wasn't that, you know, they weren't tapped into really what was going on. They'd see some news here and there, like at night, of like, you know, some crime during the, you know, the local news, but that never really crosses. And like you had mentioned, Lucky, the verbiage on there, and like just the language that they put on there, it's on purpose. It's just to hide particular different little things. You know, maybe you put a line in there, you know, like, yeah, you've got a you know, you're voting for a $45 billion, you know, bill type of a thing, and it's supposedly supposed to be going to one thing, and then they insert a line here, and some of this is going to be going for another thing that you try to insert, right? So you definitely can't trust it, but at the same time, I understand it's like if you are living in the lower income type of hoods, they don't care about that. And like you said, you know, there's more law stuff and everything, but people definitely do have their opinions.
Yeah, it's more survivability, right? Like they're worrying about where their food is, their next paycheck's gonna come from. That's what they're worrying about, you know. And you know, mind you, when our parents came over as refugees, most of them don't have a lot of education. Most of them finish at the 4th grade level. So you know, you can't expect them to kind of transition into this new lifestyle and then jump the gun and running. You know, it's gonna take some time in order for us to get there.
So then this, you know, and that's I think one of the biggest strengths of, in my opinion, the Asian community, is that the ability to assimilate and just rise through just what we were dealt with initially when we came here as first gens, and now here we are. You know,
Right.
I know you guys are doing pretty damn well for for yourselves. I'm I'm seeing it along the way when I listen to you guys stuff. I'm doing just fine on my end here, and it's certainly night and day from where we were at, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of, I think that's where we're coming up now to where it's almost a responsibility to kind of create that translation for everybody else. I know in Seattle there was this program in the Filipino Community Center to where it's like if you didn't really understand what you were voting for, if there's a language barrier there, you can go there and there would be somebody that would interpret all that stuff for you. But hence you also had this what if you brought the wrong person in there and they're translating it to actually lean towards a particular vote, right? So there's always those things that you can trust and maybe distrust, but I think there's more work now to where we need to actually start being more represented out there, because dang man, Cali itself is like one of the isn't it like one of the biggest loud community in the US right now?
Yeah,
like the Southeast
California,
Asian.
Yeah, definitely, and even in Asian American, I think we're number 2 right now. I think Hawaii beat us, and then California's number 2 as far as Asian American, and that goes back. We're talking about elections, we're talking about all these things that it goes back to data segregation. Before they labeled Asian Americans as Chinese, Korean, Japanese, but what happened to the Lao, Hmong, Cambodian, other groups that were not part of that, and all these different bills that were written were primarily for that group. So you're thinking that your model minority, right? They call it Asian American, are the model minorities that everybody needs to follow because they transition and integrate so fast. But they're not talking about the Hmong or Lao, the Cambodian community. They're talking about Chinese American, Japanese American, Korean American, who elevate a lot faster because they've been here for some over 100 years.
Yep.
You got us. We've been here for only less than 40 years, some of us, So I think when we think about it, when I think about election, I think about all those things, man. The system that we have in place now, even for people to get from green card status to becoming a citizen, it takes a longer time. It takes longer, and it's harder to get, even with people with felonies or convicted offenses. It's not set up for us to make it here in America. They didn't write it that way. It's set up because so we can, if we get, like, one of the rules were if you got caught with a crime or convicted, you're on the other side of that umbrella where you may not be able to become a citizen here in the States. So that's working against you. So what's next? It's deportations is the next thing that comes to mind, and when I think about, when you ask about election, when I think about data segregation, when I think about materials in your language to vote, to do all that, they need to do a better job with all that. They need to bring the resources in the community to help those people understand, to help the people out there to vote so that they have a voice in our community.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely enough people that's being affected in that in the Southeast Asian community, just because that, with the newness to in a newer world, newer community, everything like that, there's a lot of rebelling from the younger ones. And that's why you start getting yourself into the problems and into the issues growing up. And then if your parents, or if you didn't follow the proper trail to actually get yourself into a citizenship position, then you're having to deal with, just the old ghosts.
Yep.
And right now that's your feeling around it, because I'm also hearing that around the community here. There's a very big Southeast Asian community in the DFW area in Texas, period, and there's a lot of pushback to even Trump returning back into office, just because of that fear, just because, like, as soon as he comes back, there, he's going to start pushing that thing to where he's going to bring, it's going to send everyone back. But from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm ignorant to all of this, I'm also hearing that Laos doesn't accept deportees. Is that accurate also?
Yeah,
that is somewhat accurate, but
okay.
the only countries that have re-preparation agreement is Vietnam and Cambodia. Vietnam, I think, signed theirs in 2004, and then Cambodia signed theirs. I forgot what year, but those are the only 2 countries. Now, what Trump did in his last administration, what he did was he had about 4,000 orders, Hmong, Lao folks ready to go, and he really wanted to set up a re-entry center. It's called a re-entry center in Laos. And mind you, the U.S. government gives Laos over 100 million in U.S. aid every year. Every year they give it to Laos. So Trump says, hey, if you don't accept Laotian deportees, then we're going to ban your visas coming into the United States. So he made a list of, I think it was 9 countries. Laos was one of the countries that no visas can come in. We're talking about Laos students coming from Laos to U.S. to come to learn here. We're talking about working visas. We're talking about visiting visas. He banned that. And Laos was this close in saying, all right, we're going to give in, because we're not going to give you that 100,000 no more, that 100 million no more that we're going to be giving you. And at that point, that's when I used to work for a refugee organization at that time. I got calls left to right about this deportation order, and it was scaring the community, because if you were to go get checked in and you had to go, because some of these guys check in every month, some of them check in every 3 months, and you are, if you guys hear about stories in the past where some of the Cambodian folks that get deported back to the country, it's scary, man. You know, you're breaking away from family, your children, people that are integrated in the community, that served their time, that did their time, pay their fines, but still have to be deported because the crime was committed 25 years ago, 30 years ago. You know, and at that moment, I didn't know what to tell him. I just told him, man, if I were you, I would go get checked in. We don't know what's going to happen, you know, and the only thing you can hope for is that Mr. Trump is not in office after 2016 or 2000. What year was that? 2020. Sorry. And it's a scary time, man. And I know for some folks that are checking in with their deportation documents and paperwork stuff, they don't know what to do. They really don't know what to do, you know. And if he does get elected, I could see him bringing that back. And I definitely see Laos signing that agreement, because they need that 100 million every year.
Is that still, do you know, to this day, it's still happening, with regards to the 100 mil being sent over there, and no change, no continuation of conversations as far as opening it back up as far as deportation?
No, they stopped. The aid was still sent there after when Biden took over, but as far as deportation conversations, they stopped it. They stopped right there. I mean, but I know that if Trump gets back in office, I could see him bringing that back in again and stirring that pot up.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think this is a good point, because I think we can continue this conversation on the next topic here, just because I think I would like to revisit that. When I had reached out to you, also I asked you, one of the questions that was going to come up on this thing is just what would be with us speaking about the election right now. We've got what I think 3 main candidates still, pretty legitimate out there. And then you've got, of course, just probably some Green Party out there. What is, for me, as when you wake up in the morning as individuals, and maybe if you represent your family and however your mind is actually working, it's not even as a crew or anything, it's just you, yourself, your family, what's between the 4 walls in the home. In this upcoming election, with so many dang things going on, what do you personally feel is your biggest issue going in? That if you were to stand on, it's like the candidate that actually is going to fight strong for this particular issue, I'm probably most likely going to lean that direction.
Charles? Man, I'm not too well versed in politics.
Well, forget about politics. When you wake up in the morning, is it the egg costs? Is it the gas? Is it, you know, just
Well,
billions and billions to Ukraine? What's going on in your head?
let's put it this way. Like when I was younger, we grew up on welfare. So, having government assistance and, food stamps and all that stuff made a lot of help for my family. And so I was more leaning towards giving money to the poor. That's more Democrat. And growing up, I was always grateful that there was those programs that helped my family survive. And now that I'm older and becoming a business owner, I want to pay less taxes and I want to know where my money is going to. So it's more going towards the right. So right now, I feel like I'm more independent, and I know there's a lot of fight going on between right and left. But then, what I want to see is more people becoming human and starting trying to understand each other's side, because you can't just be completely right or completely left. And I see people like losing families and friends over these topic, and then not really trying to understand why people see and have different views. So for me, like I'm more independent on this case. Plus, I don't have all the information to make my opinion on which one matters, politically. But I know for my family, I lean more towards of helping me keep as much money in my pocket. But at the same time, I don't want to stop helping out family that needs the government assistance, like I did growing up. So I don't know if that kind of makes sense for you
No,
guys
it
a little
does.
bit.
It does. It's so there's from what I'm hearing, there's a couple in there. It's number one. It is definitely trying to cut down the taxation and not even add anything much to it. I mean, does any of
Yeah.
the one big thing though is keeping as much money in your pocket. Do you feel the current state of just the economy with regards to inflation, like in the costs of goods right now? Do you think it's in a good place? Do you think I mean, right now, the reality of it is, if we really were trying to just put it out there, there's going to be two candidates, and it's either going to be and the nice thing about this time around is we know how each candidate has performed in their each of their terms, right? We know
Who are
what.
they?
Well, we know Mr. Trump and we know Mr. Biden, both
Right. Oh,
presidents.
then
We
they're still
know
gonna let him run.
what's that?
They're still gonna let him run.
There should
He's the nominee. He's
Oh,
the
there should be
dang!
an
nominee.
Wow.
age cutoff.
Yeah,
There
and
needs to
Yeah,
be
I
an
don't.
age
I don't
cutoff.
follow
oh,
politics either.
who's
You know,
him? You
so
talking about Biden? Because he's
Both of them.
the
Both of
Biden.
yeah.
them.
Yeah. So
Uh,
from my understanding, he's so Trump's won the nomination, and from my understanding, also, even if they send him to jail, they can still vote him. They can still vote him in, and he can still be the president in jail. That's just the Constitution, right? Isn't that's the
Yeah.
wildest thing? That's the U.S. thing, right? But
right.
so that's kind of where it's at right now. I didn't want to approach it in that manner of just, okay, let's go 50-50 on this whole thing. But if it comes down to, if the most important issue, at least on your end, is keeping as much in your pocket and also helping out, the right people out there, if whatever you pay out is helping out the right people, based on the performances of both presidents from the past few years, there's got to, if you were to lean towards and I'm not asking you to say one or the other, but it's like,
Well, let me just put it this way. I've always leaned a little bit more blue, but if you compare these two past presidents, I see more stuff being done with Trump in office. Not saying that I'm
you're
going
not
for either one of
alone.
them. Yeah. So if I just have to go off base, result based, I probably have to go lean towards a little bit on the Trump team. And I mean, like, I don't know what Biden's done. Maybe he's done something that, since I don't follow enough to know, and maybe it's something's going over my head. I don't know,
Yeah.
but at least with Trump, I've seen things that happen and I noticed it.
Yeah.
I mean, the way he talks, the way he represents himself is not president-like, but at the same time, like I could feel like he's doing things because he really believes it's helping America.
Yeah, and definitely when he was in office, you knew what he was doing because it was reported. There was a 24-hour news cycle.
Yeah.
I mean, with Biden, you'd hear maybe like 2 or 3 week news cycle because they'd put him out there and he'd start talking. But with Trump, it's sometimes even like a 6-hour news cycle. because like, what do you say now, or what's he on doing on Twitter? So it's like you knew what he was up to. So yeah, I mean, you're definitely not alone there. I think, you know, with regards to just more money in your pockets, it's really hard to deny that there is, you would lean towards Trump with that particular, if that was the issue with yours.
Yeah, California, if you're making 80K, 100K and above, you're at least 40% tax. So they're taking almost half your money.
Good God.
So you ain't seeing it.
That's not true, is it? 40%? Like all the way around?
All the way around 40. At the end of the day, it's at least 40%. If you don't have enough write-offs to when you're running your business or whatever, 40% right off the bat. Even people that are on W2, they're about 40%. You know, you got to have write-offs. You got to start a small business or something to counter it, you know, because they're taking so much money out of your pocket. So your dollar is not running as far as it should, because it's just getting taxed left and right.
Well, if it starts running well enough, then you get into that bracket to where they're trying to raise the more taxes on top of that, because isn't that the push, right? So once you get into that, let's say if you report like a little over $1 million, then you're in that additional bracket of just the wealthy, and then
right
more is being pushed over.
Most people don't make over 100K though, you know. I mean, most people don't make six figure. That we see, majority of them don't, you know. There's a few that makes that much, you know, and it's just your gross, you know. That's just what you make. That's not like your net. That's not what you bring home. So they tax you off of your gross. So it's hard. California's hard, you know.
But that wasn't what was going on with. So I'm sure that still existed during Trump was still around, or is that fairly new? Are all these new?
It's actually lower. It's actually lower when Trump was in office, because he gives more tax break more tax break to the business owner. So if you don't own a business, you're kind of screwed. But if you own business owners, they want the tax break, so they're going to vote for Trump. You know, for me, I'm independent, just like Charles, because the agenda that both parties push is very similar. It's not anything different. They're just going to rename whatever they're pushing. So, you know, to me, if I had to pick, I would pick Trump, just like Charles. Be the lesser of the two evils, right? I mean,
that's what it was when he was running against Hillary.
Yeah, who you pick at that point? Who do you pick, right? Like, you don't want either one of them to run the country, you know. But
don't you hate that though? When you're sitting there? So that was kind of just the feeling, and a lot of people felt like that. It's like, I don't care about Hillary, and then you've got Trump. But he said, just give me a shot and everything. So this has been the third election cycle to where people are like, it's the lesser of two evils, right? And we, you know, Biden was running with Obama, so like, you know, what can go wrong? And it's like, you know, he kind of, you know, we liked Obama and everything, but then look, it's questionable to exactly what he's done, if he's actually, you know, really done a good job as far as a scorecard. So going back to you, Toby, do you lean on, again, going back to the question, your personal most important issue going into the election? Is it along the same lines as Charles, or do you have your own personal?
No, a lot of it's going to be taxes, and a lot of it is just the humanity side of it, right? Like, we are so divided as a nation that we need, you know, to me, I feel like the president is just the manager of the country. They're just going to stick somebody in there to blame the country's problems on, right? And so to me, it's like, if he could unify a country, and that's a long, you know, that's kind of hard to do with a country so divided. Each state is divided, each culture is divided, you know, and it's a big giant melting pot. So you have so many people that have different culture, different custom, different rituals, and, you know, different ceremonies that they do. So how do you integrate everything in one? You know, that's a difficult job to do. I don't know how anyone would do something like that, you know.
I would suggest that in order for you to even have the right path of doing that and unifying the country, you would want to have the media on your side,
right?
I mean, if you were, I mean, because that plays
definitely 90%. The propaganda. The propaganda that somebody could push. Now that we have the internet, the information moves so fast, right? Like, if an event happened today, somebody gets on TikTok or whatever, information just get pushed out. Now they're running with a narrative. How do you control that? Versus,
and there's always separation in that negative, to where it's like, well, it's this and that, and it's just reporting improperly. There's a lot of Yeah, there's a lot of just negative
misinformation. Yeah, there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of
separate.
Right.
And
Well,
it doesn't matter what you believe. If you Google it, you'll find enough evidence to support what your beliefs
yeah,
are.
both sides. Yeah.
Yeah, on both sides.
well, yeah. I
it's
mean,
both sides.
Google. I mean, there's some people out there that would even say Google. You can't even run to that just because of the
No,
suppression.
you can't.
Because there was a Washington Post article that came out, I think today or last night, that said, they found that Google was, and you know how Elon is out there right now. Elon's pushing hard. He's trying to have his own platform being the numbers area for news and in the truth. He's even pushing out there. It's like, hey, listen, it's not just 45 counts to where Google was caught actually pushing propaganda for Democratic wins. It was thousands, and they're suppressing all that. So, and you got one side and the other. Yep. Okay. Now, my mom don't care about all that stuff, but it's just like she's going to vote regarding to whatever was being pushed by the majority. What's the majority right now? I mean, if you take a look at the actual media, if you take a look at all your channels, it's majority left. So it's just you're basically going to move towards that. But there is there's this thing brewing to where more people are talking, and even these podcasts are actually helping. I personally don't want to push one way or the other on this thing. I just want to talk about it and actually see where everybody's heads are at, and we can make a decision according to that.
Right.
Lucky, you're brewing on my right side. You're just squirming, man. Where are you at?
You know what? I'm just gonna say very bluntly, if I had to grade the president right now, I'm gonna give him a C.
C. Ooh, that's
C.
That's high for
passing, bro. That's
I know. I'm like, wow.
C. And here,
C for corrupt.
Here's my take. Like, I voted for Biden. I'm gonna say it. I voted for Biden.
Right? I'm out of here.
And there's
wow.
And for me, man, because I'm such a loving person. I love, like Toby mentioned earlier, humanity, right? I care more about the way you treat me or the way you display yourself more than policies. Right. People always tell me policy run this country, but you know what? People, if you love people enough, if you care about your country enough, you wouldn't talk about people a certain way. You wouldn't talk about the Hispanic community in this way. You wouldn't talk about certain things directly towards Asian America this way. Oh, COVID, blame it on the Asian America, the Chinese, right?
China virus.
Or whatever. And again, it goes back to that, man. And if Trump would have a little decency for humanity in this sense, I probably would have voted for him that year. I would have. But because he's such an asshole, man, and he just can't change his behavior, I couldn't vote for him. I don't know why. In my heart, I knew I was doing something wrong. I let down all my Hispanic friends who got deported. I let down a lot of people, my Southeast Asian family and friends who were getting deported. I couldn't do that, And at that moment, I had to realize that, okay, Mr. Biden, man, let's give this guy a chance. We've seen him in the house with Obama, but we don't know how he's going to do, And even then, I couldn't give Biden right now a B or A because I still haven't seen some of the things that he was trying to push, And I think the landscape of our country is a little different, Even when the Trump was still here, there was such a divide. And what he brought out the racism in people out of the closet. He made people feel comfortable enough to come out of the closet and say, yeah, I am a racist. That's what he brought out, and that's what I saw in 2016 to 2020. We were so divided as a country. You saw stuff happening all the time in this country, and that rhetoric, that narrative that you put out, for someone leading the country, you could have did a little bit better than that. You could have just did a little bit better than that, and that's why this last run, I voted for Biden. I wanted to see something a little different, I'm okay with paying taxes, man. I don't have to be rich. Again, I don't have to be rich, but at least I'm fair enough to say, look, if, like Charles mentioned, If I'm willing to help out people with my tax money, go for it. You know, I got enough to eat. I can take care of myself. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's that for me. I think it's more of treat people right, treat the people that are voting for you right, treat the people that are suffering right. You know, if you can do that, everybody would love each other in the right ways, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, two people, red and blue, could come together and still have a barbecue.
Yep.
You can't do it in today's age. You can't even have a barbecue with red and blue. My family is split. We're both Republican and Democratic. And even then, when I go to the certain houses, it's a friction, man. It's a tension, dude. You know, and it should never been like that. Leaders don't do that.
Hey, is that why he never invited us to his house, Charles?
Exactly.
I know.
The truth comes out now.
Truth comes out now, man.
Wow.
Truth comes out now.
Leaders don't do that, man. Leaders of the country unite, bring people together.
So
and you could have constructive criticism. You can do things. You know, look. We just seen the State of the Union speech last week, right? We saw it. Did you know how many people, Republicans clapped it when Biden made his speech? You could see all the Democrats clapping and all the Republicans just doing this. Mugging.
You talking about the Democrats or the Republicans?
Republicans.
So the Republicans doing that, yeah. I mean, that was the same thing when Trump had stuff going on. They were out there like in their whites.
Yeah.
You know, they're never. A lot of these guys will never really cross the aisle and just be like, "Hey, let's unite," because the separation is basically what controls whoever is going to end up voting for what's up.
For sure.
And the separation is for the controllers. Let me push back a little bit on you, just because I want to be the devil's advocate here. During the time when you felt that certain way about Trump and like the rhetoric and how he was how he displayed himself. Now, mind you, the guy is not a very good, like his delivery sucks. His delivery sucks. His methods suck. He's childish in his ways, especially in those late nights, whatever the hell he's doing, drinking his milk with his small hands. Is that what they call it? And he's sitting there tweeting with his small hands, right? The delivery sucks. Okay. But was there how much did you put into your feelings? Do you put into your feelings about him? How much of that came from what the media displayed? And how much is that from what you actually said? You know what? This motherfucker did not say that, and watch the whole thing.
Yeah, no, I at that time,
there's got to be specifics on what, just like, you know, one day it's like, oh damn, this guy said. So like you said, just like the Hispanics, he can't be talking about the Hispanics like that. What were you referring to with that one?
Well, even just thinking about his wall, right? He said that.
Oh, the wall,
and he's gonna have Mexico build it. That's all taxpayers' dollar. Till today, that wall still ain't done. And guess what? And guess what? Mexico did not pay for it. Our U.S. dollars pay for that. Our taxpayers pay for it. You know, and it goes back to that again, like the delivery, the messaging. Yes, it sounds great. It sounds great to protect your country, to get a wall in there. But why are we seeing Mexicans still climbing over that wall in less than 30 seconds?
They're not climbing, bro. They're walking right on over.
Now they just coming right through.
They're walking right on over. They're getting a debit card, and they're getting a phone, and they're just, I will see you in about 5 years.
They're putting him on a bus. They're putting him on a bus, and they're sending him up to New York, Chicago, and they're sending him all to the Democratic city. And now those cities, they're changing their tune. They're saying, no, the city can't operate anymore with all the immigrants coming in because they don't have enough fundings.
No,
so what do you do with that?
The infrastructure isn't ready to support.
Yeah, the infrastructure.
Tens of millions of brand new residents out here, of our new folks coming through the border, and I mean it's hurting. It's hurting, and there's a lot of like money being like reallocated from your, especially in your inner city, because you don't want them in the big rich neighborhoods. They're going to send them to the.
Well, here's my thing too: is everybody coming through that border, MS-13s, drug dealers, murderers, like he shared on the news?
The problem with that is, bro, because I follow this a lot, so I can speak, and to answer my own question, my number one issue is that it's, it's a lot of things have happened within the past 4 years to where it's like I'm scared to shit. I am, because if you really actually follow, I mean, there's conflicts all over the place. We're still in this Ukraine Russia thing where tens of billions are still going over there.
I think the vetting system could be a little bit different. I don't know what's going on in the border, but
it's
definitely
non-existent. It's
yeah,
non-existent.
definitely
no
have
border.
a better vetting system. But see, I look at it like this when I heard about all this. I came here as a refugee myself. Am I going to vote against that?
No,
but you came through the proper channel.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I don't think so. Here's there's no dispute over the people that are literally coming over. Okay, and I mean you can have an entire like back in the days, Genghis Khan and his crew would have like mobbed through and went through. We wouldn't blame Genghis Khan and his crew because they just mobbed through. It's the people that's supposed to protect us, right? So currently, there's a lot of people that have gone through. I mean, Twitter's a hell of a place because they're going over. A lot of big names are going down there saying what's really going down. You've got a lot of YouTubers. It's like, hey, I just don't want to talk about this. Let's go take a look. There's a lot of exposés and there's a lot of stuff going on. And it's literally people walking through, bro. You've got actual feds and you've got like just in Texas itself, right there in Eagles Pass. And that in itself is just they've tried to close that particular area out. And you're looking at maybe like tens of thousands of people walking through. Same thing with, some of the New Mexico borders and everything like that. Tens of thousands of people are walking through. And it's not those people that just basically endured that walk. It's not those people. And of course, you've got people seeking asylum and everything like that. What they do is they basically check you in. They'll tell you it's like you're an illegal, migrant here, but you have to come into court and here's what it is. Give us your contact information and all on your way. Okay. It's not because of them. It's the people that's actually letting them through. And then at that point, like you said, the vetting system is lacking or it doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
We've got here. And with that particular point, if you're seeking asylum, what's with regard to the vetting system, that kind of defeats the purpose if we're not actually vetting the people that might be chasing after you. You said, are they MS-13? It takes, if you're letting in 5 million people for a year, and last year it was actually 2 million documented that they had seen. It doesn't matter which side, if they're illegal or without the paperwork. It was 2 million. Harvard did the study themselves. They said within the past 3 years, it's been over 10 million. Okay. Wow. Now that's horrible vetting system. It's even if 5% of that particular total was the bad guys. Right now, with so much terrorism in the world, we're not even vetting the right people, and it's not even South Americans, it's not even Mexicans, it's not Latinos. You've got Chinese fighting, military age men coming through. You've got South Africans coming through with designated areas. Like as soon as there's a guy that was at the border and was like, okay, where are you going to? And it was like everybody had their own walking papers. Like, okay, I'm going to Chicago, I'm going to North Carolina, I'm going to New York. Everybody already had their designated spots as they crossed the border. So you got to understand, it's like, yeah, we're all refugees. It's not, the dispute is not, let's not let the migrants and refugees through. Let's not let the asylees come through. It's just that we got to freaking have an infrastructure to begin with to let this many come through. And we also got to protect those people that are actually asylum seekers, because those guys might be getting chased behind too. And then on top of that, you've got the rise of fentanyl for the past like couple years. And it's not being made here. It's crossing somewhere else. So I'm not sure exactly where that's coming from, but there's a lot of consequences and there are lots of coincidences within those past times. So my main thing is, I had a friend that actually said, why are you so hard on this, immigrant issue if we're all immigrants? It's like, it's not about us. I'm trying to be about us because we're the ones paying the taxes. It's supposed to go into our communities, but they're reallocating it just to support the sanctuary cities. And of course, now, if you thought the Asian hate in the hood was all messed up back then, now you got brand new people that you don't even know who the heck they are. Crime rates going up in these big cities. You've got people that you've got all these people being captured that aren't being put on the main news channels, but they're talking about them on Twitter. And guess where they're from? So it doesn't take a whole lot. So
do
that's
you do
my
you
thing.
do you feel like you're in a safe environment right now?
Texas is different. Let's just say that. And there's also one of the main reasons. And Texas there's a lot of land and space. Okay,
I I I,
so
I look at it like this. If we said there's murderers, there's terrorists, there's everybody that's coming in, I haven't heard about one bombing yet in this country.
well, it
It's
shouldn't
not
have to
gonna
come
happen
to it.
yet. Yeah,
Well,
It
it
that's
shouldn't
shouldn't
what
have to.
happen at all.
well, that's what I'm saying. That's
It
what I'm
hasn't.
saying.
It
So
shouldn't come to a bombing for you to feel unsafe in certain areas. And it's
Just
also
put it
not
like
even.
this.
Yeah.
It's not
Just put
also
it like
unsafe. It's
yeah,
also
but
the
just
fact
let's just
that
put it like this, dude. You're at your house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna let somebody that you don't know go into your home? That's just what it is, right? Without you asking him the question, hey, who are you? What are you here for? Hey, do you know somebody here? You know my girl? You know my brother? Who are you, right? Are you good? So what he's saying is the vetting says that we need to know who you are. If you are coming to this country and if you're here to work, cool, whatever. You're gonna help pay taxes. You
I'm,
know, we're
I'm
cool
all
with that.
I'm all for the
I'm
Right?
vetting
ten
system.
thousand percent for that.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
gonna
Mm-hmm.
come
I'm
here,
all.
live in peace. You're gonna be an American, or you're gonna, get assimilated to this culture because this
Right.
culture itself is a melting pot. But
Mhm.
if you're gonna
Yeah,
come
no,
over
I'm all.
here,
I'm all for the
right?
vetting system. All I'm just
That's what
saying
we're
is
saying,
all the stuff that's been came out that all these
right?
guys crossing the borders are bad, but I haven't
No,
seen.
nobody. I don't think
Nobody's saying
anyone's
that.
saying that. I
Nobody's
don't
Well,
saying
think
that.
no,
anyone's saying.
look what
Yeah,
Trump said in 2016. He said there's
right,
MS-13,
Well,
there's murderers. But what I'm
right.
saying is, when I was working, bringing in Syrian refugees that year, 2016, they said that there's going to be a bomb. There was an article that came out and said, "Oh, there's going to
Yeah.
be a first terrorist bomb," and 8 years later, nothing happened.
But you
Well,
got
that's
to
also
understand,
again
well,
one
yeah,
of the main things that I had asked before. So, I think we can all come to an
right,
agreement of like the the media hated Trump, but
right.
mm-hmm.
he was good TV. So
Hmm.
every slip up that he does, and if he doesn't do anything at
Oh
all,
yeah,
and mind you, okay,
The religion,
they'll like misconstrue something. Like just recently, just within this past week, he had a rally, and I've been kind of a follow on both sides of the thing. I'm an analyst by trade, so I like to gather both sides of the story. I'm not, and here's the thing for me, how I got into this deep dive politics type of thing. My like with the four kids, the three kids, four kids, good diet. These three kids that I got, they're becoming smarter than me, and they're supposed to be smarter than me. But I got so much ego to where it's like if you ask me a question, especially in that particular field, I at least got to come at you rather than saying I don't know. It's like because what am I? So they kept me on my toes. So as an
yeah,
analyst by trade, I sat there and looked at both sides. And when I heard something on the news, I would then dig deep because I wanted to. Okay, YouTube is a hell of a place, also. So you start seeing the whole thing. So I was like, okay, they don't like him, and they'll put they'll mix things up and they'll put something out there for him. I'm not again, the dude sucks with delivery, but when he
Yeah.
actually when it's the actual things that count at that point with more money in your pockets, you know, foreign affairs, keeping like there
yeah.
wasn't a single war during that time. He actually, I mean, he got that Middle East Accord going during that time, the Abraham Accord going during that time.
Hmm.
Dude went to North Korea and just stepped foot in that country. That should be easily like a top 5 thing that ever happened. It doesn't matter how much ego you got. That ego is repping my country. So if you walking over there, I'm like, all right, damn, this guy's over the border
Mm-hmm.
with Kim Jong Un, and Kim Jong Un's looking all silly and like, look how much, and that just shows the world. It's like, look how much taller and like how much more, how he's controlling the situation. I kind of felt some sort of way with that.
Yeah.
Now, with regards to some of the stuff that was, in my opinion, chopped up and made him look bad and himself make him look bad. Yeah, that looks ridiculous. That's unpresidential, period. But it's still, at the end of the day, I just kind of felt a certain way. So I was like, all right, fine. I think, and mind you, during COVID, like one of the main reasons why I survived financially, I was trading. I got into trading, and that boy put some fat wads in my pocket. So I was kind of like, when it all stopped, I was like, God damn. All right, Biden.
everybody was on crypto
It
at
was
the
like,
time of
yeah,
when all
Yep.
the other
yeah,
stuff was
bro.
Yeah.
happening.
I was on oil. I was on like, all these, like, even during COVID, he was, whatever that was being pushed. I was freaking COVID stocks. I was like, God, like, so I knew about that, but then everything stopped. People's pockets started getting a little thinner. But
I think I think with the border, I think everybody is thinking we need to close it. You know that,
I don't
and
think
I
so.
agree with that. You know, it's like it's the vetting system that needs to be fixed. It's nothing like we need to know who's coming into this country, and that's it. You know, and they need to be okay with that. You know, like they just got to go through the proper channel, just like we did. Get sponsored, right? Somebody got a vouch from,
Yeah,
like
that's
that's
us.
kind of
That
like,
was us.
yeah,
That's
that
how
was
your
us.
family
You
got here.
came over here.
I got
You could not come over here unless somebody over here in the
lottery or
States vouched
sponsorship.
for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to be sponsored, right? So if they
Don't
go through the proper
don't
channel,
you guys feel a certain way though, to where it's like, okay, so when I came to the US, I actually had to, I had to be adopted by my grandparents for me to just come here. And
Right.
then 5 years later, we petitioned for my parents to come. There's a lot of like little internal like mental conflicts that went into that stuff that I've actually put in the past. But that whole thing, there was this feeling around that thing. So it was like, okay, yeah, this is the way to America. And that's why I didn't waste a single day actually climbing around here, right? So don't you and I'm hearing also like my wife's family's their path over here. And there's also like, I mean, the Lao and the Thai path getting to the US is something else. I get humbled when I hear that story too.
Yeah.
Don't you feel a certain way that we like had to go through these channels to this day to citizenship? Yet the current administration is just letting cats come through, giving you money, giving you money right across. I mean, if that was the case, shoot, I would have had my family come on over, like, go down to Mexico and hop on up and they'll come see me over here. So
change my name.
it sounds silly. It sounds, it sounds like, oh yeah, but that kind of like speaks to my side to where it's like, that's kind of why I'm against this thing, because I went through that stuff. I had the turmoil with my family because we had to go through all this stuff and everything. But these guys are just walking through. Don't matter who you are either.
Well, see, that goes back to media too, right? Is all that stuff even true? People just walking in, or they're just showing that?
Bro,
right?
People,
There's
I'll send
people
you a
that's
link.
recording it. Yeah,
that goes back. Like if I was at the border viewing and seeing all this, then maybe those might be facts.
Right.
But all I'm saying is when they come through, right, and then maybe there's wanting a job or they're reuniting with their family. Yes, the vetting system could definitely be a lot better. I totally agree 100% on that. But they're not here to take my job. They're here to survive and take care of their families. That's all they're trying to do.
But here's the problem with that. Here's the problem with that argument. It's not also about taking any specific job. Okay. It's also in the fact to where once you pack, and again, like you said, they're getting bussed over to certain cities, right? Right when you start, let's say for New York. No, let's say Chicago, because it's Chicago, because I saw this the other day and they're actually pushing back up there. So there's been a lot.
Chicago's pushing back?
Chicago's pushing back.
What?
And
I'm surprised.
It's because
I know out of all cities too,
bro. Because they're now like, I mean, they're sleeping on the sidewalks. They're having to take up. I mean, there was a point where O'Hare International Airport, a particular wing was closed down because they had to actually put the migrants there because it was so cold, and they didn't want them on the streets. Right, it's a sanctuary city. So the people that are actually pushing back is the African American community, because a lot of the money that's been allocated for them, for their community, and for their community centers, they're putting the migrants in the community centers to actually house them because they can't be on the road, on the streets. So all that stuff, that's their space. I mean, as much as we were growing up, the African American community is one of the communities that really need community centers from where we came from. Still to this day, that's the perfect. I mean, that's where they're supposed to grow. That's where the after school stuff is. There's a lot of statistics going on inside the home to where they need community like that. When you take that away, it's not a job. It's what the necessities are. And then all that money allocated to that community, you then lose that for that community while you're actually putting it over here. And it's not the people's fault that are actually sleeping in there, the migrants that are sleeping there. It's the people that allowed that much numbers coming in without actually having an infrastructure in place. There's no fault in the people that are here now. So that's...
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Because I was going to say, so when I think of the border right now, you guys remember Black Fridays back in the day when it first started?
Yeah.
Where you go stand in line at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, just wait till 5 o'clock in the... Yeah, just wait till 5 o'clock.
Long are the days, bro.
Yeah, because I remember sitting there at 2-3 in the morning, and as soon as when it's like 4:45, 4:50, all of a sudden, all these people came out of nowhere, standing in the parking lot. And once the door opens up, it doesn't matter what time you got there to wait in line. Everybody's bum rushing through that door, and there's no way of telling who was there correctly to be able to, get first dib or whatever they went for. It was just chaotic. So now, like, they have a little bit more like raffles or tickets that you get to where it's more organized. So it's more fair for the people that actually, went early and wait like they're supposed to. So like right now, the border is just Black Friday back in the days where, hey, it didn't matter if you got into the line first. If these people could push through the door before you did, they got the opportunity before you.
Yeah.
So it's not as fair as it could be. So like the people, still come, but at least let the people ahead of you go in the process before you get there. Does that make a little sense, Lucky?
Yeah. No, and I think we should definitely start locking down like just the entry points. It's not, we shouldn't just, okay, go ahead. I mean, and the ones also that are suffering, and I like I said, I get geeked out. I just geek out on this stuff. I was watching this video. There's a gentleman that was doing and if you guys are interested on what I'm actually seeing, I base a lot of my translations and my not necessarily conclusions and my opinions around this stuff, and to either after confirmation of what I'm feeling, or if it's challenging what I'm actually thinking, I then would kind of switch a little bit and kind of just temper myself on my push on this thing. But if you want some videos, I can definitely let me know. Hit us up on our IG at Cold Rice Media, and I'd be very happy to share what I'm seeing. But there's this one that we seen recently, that my wife and I seen recently. It was basically this guy that had a friend right there on the border. He was right on the border. He's just right off Eagles Pass. Mexican American, did like his family crossed. He said, we crossed right there. We were right there and everything like that. And now I've got a gym right here. And this is a city to where it's majority Hispanics. And we're over here. We're doing the right things. We're all now paying our taxes. We built up our city. But then as more people come in, it's like now we're the ones actually suffering because they're looting my equipment and everything like that. They're coming in, drinking my sodas. There's over there, and there's more crime now because it's not set up for that. If you have people that are, okay, fine, we've traveled 100 miles to get over here and we're crossing over, we've got a little bit of cash in our pockets, and it runs out, the community is not going to be there and pick you up because the community is still struggling. They're still trying to come up. So that's one of the other things. So those smaller communities, those smaller cities right off the border, they're actually also struggling. Non-sanctuary cities, not the ones that actually voted for the sanctuary cities. So I'm also seeing, like I said, the sanctuary cities with New York itself is, New York. Have you guys seen the stuff that's happening in New York?
Yep.
They're talking about $10 billion that they're going to have to be on the hook for just to house them for the next few years here.
They're backtracking those sanctuary city. They're backtracking what they stood for, and it could have been prevented, if everyone was on the same page and understood that, hey, as a nation, as a country, we're stronger and we come together, unify and talk about this, what's going to go through. I think we'll be better as a country. We'll be in a better place. But everyone has their own agenda. Everyone has whatever it is they got to push, and whoever's in their pockets and is feeding them to push this agenda. So, I feel like the government is not representing us in a way that the people that they should, because there's a disconnect between our government and us as a whole. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter. They're not looking out for our interests,
Yeah, there shouldn't be. If you're a Republican, if you're conservative in that nature, a lot of people just kind of just remain in that spot. I've heard from, and I'm one of them people, that I voted blue and I marched, and I did all the stuff back then, even with WTO in Seattle and everything like that. I did all I did the grassroots stuff then. I was all blue. But then that blue back then really isn't the blue that I'm used to anymore nowadays. So like yourselves, and I got heat for this. during COVID. I actually lost a friend about this, and I was like, hey, I'm kind of moving towards the middle, because this is like, I'm more independent in my ways, because I really can't really side with the extreme side of this side, right? I'm blue all day, and I'm like, I'm this and that, but it's like, for example, I think during that time it was talking about the abortion bill, and I was like, yeah, fine. I'm talking about, your body, your choice type of a thing, but then they try to squeeze in the actual to when it was the latest you could do it in some states, and I was like, I don't know if I can side with that.
Yeah, they changed the weeks, I think.
Yeah, it was kind of like, whoa, if like, and I was like, yeah, I ride with you. It's like, if you want to have your own choice and everything, but it's like, we're talking about this. I can't vote for that. So it's like, now you start moving towards the middle. And then somebody talked to me within the family and said, Asians are, we're conservatives we're inherently
by
conservative.
nature. Yeah.
We're about our families. We're from the farms. We go late, and then we just, we kind of just put our nose down and just kind of work as hard as you can, and just, you try not to move too fast, and that's what it is. And then you still love each other, and you really don't care as much as what the neighbors are doing, other than if you're chatting about it, and chit chatting, some gossiping, but that's as far as it is, right? But we're all in, conservative by nature. And I kind of looked into that, and as you grow older, you start going back to it. But you guys had mentioned, and from the common theme, and I love it, because you guys all kind of wrote off that, is that the humanity side of things. And I think in order for there to be humanity is conversation, and I think that's the strength of what we're bringing out here. I mean, we're not supposed to agree on everything, and I'm glad that, at least Lucky was like, you got to tell me, like, this is where I'm at. And I was like, we got to push back, because you're coming from experience. I can't come from your experience, because you're sitting there rubbing shoulders with true people. Okay. People that are truly affected. I'm sitting over here tapping on computers, watching videos. Okay. Tapping on computers, trying to gain experience through somebody else's eyes, but you're actually pushing back. And that's why you have these conversations. When you stop talking, that's when the problem starts.
Yeah.
And I think it's dope that we're actually doing that.
Well, I think understanding each other's experience is the missing factor in everything, right? It's it's more like, hey, your struggle is your struggle. I can't fill your shoes, so I'm gonna understand what you're going through, but we need to meet in the middle, right? So if we're on one side or the other, we can never find common ground. We're always going to hate each other just for no reason, So we need to find common ground, and I think that's what's missing in our country.
I want to touch on what Lucky had done earlier, and he graded Biden's term. Lucky, how would you grade Biden's term currently, from what you've seen and what's been going on? Oh, Lucky's going back and forth. All right, Toby,
give him a C.
Oh yeah. Lucky gave him a C. Toby, where were you at on how do you feel about how he's handled everything so far? How presidential he's been, his presence, all the way around?
I feel differently about the parties, right? Like, I don't affiliate myself with any of that stuff. I mean, to me, when I see the president, I see somebody that's just a puppet, right? And I think that the real shadow government that runs everything is the banking system. And I think that they are the one that actually run the policy. So to grade Biden on what he's doing, I mean, he's doing a good job of trying to sell whatever that it is that he's trying to sell, whether it's sending money over here, sending money over there. I mean, we look at a lot of his videos that we see on the news, he should not be president, with all his stuff that he's forgetting. And he should not be the leader of the free world, so I think that he's not where he needs to be. And I think there need to be a strong leader. And I think that, Trump, he's a good leader, but he needs to understand how to talk to people. But he's coming from a business mindset, right? So if you're a CEO or stuff, you're going to be like, hey, I need this shit done. I need this done, this and that. And down the line it goes, like you have your commanders do that stuff, like whoever it is down the line. So
Toby, real quick, Lucky, just to let you know, you're muted. So I saw your lips moving, so just unmute yourself or something. That's you, Lucky. Can you hear us? He can't hear us.
He's looking at. At least he's looking at us.
He's looking at us. Anyway, okay. So so official grade for President
probably like a
Biden.
D.
A D?
I'll give him a D.
You
You give him a
and,
D.
all right, Charles.
He needs some D.
D for Democrat? Okay, fine.
Yeah.
We'll give him that. Charles, let's give our current president a grade.
I'm gonna ride with Toby on this one because to me, I see Biden as more of a stand-in, a puppet for somebody else that's actually running the show. And I mean, as a stand-in, I think he's doing just fine, but I don't think he's coherent enough to actually know what is going on.
Right.
So whoever's got the hand up the back, as you guys had mentioned, as being the puppet, that guy's doing well enough. But the coherence is where the conflict is for me. It's like it's either he's coherent enough, or is he just incoherent to where it's like I don't even really want to see him out there. I feel bad for the guy.
Yeah,
I do.
I actually
when you see him out there,
it's
it's
time
just
to retire.
I legit feel bad.
That's like your grandpa trying to run the country, right? Like, bro.
Exactly.
Like,
So, and that's the question. Okay, let's say so
age gap. There should be an age.
Oh, there he is. He's talking.
Yeah, age limit.
I think there should be.
There should be an age limit for politicians, man. These guys are dying out already. They shouldn't even be making decisions, especially making policies and decisions that they're going to die away, and we got to live with those policies.
Well, and not even we. It's just the whole world is.
Yeah.
The whole world is watching again this election. I mean, it's also one of those things to where they asked Putin, it's like, who do you want to win? I was like, I want Biden to win because he's the easy one. Because that's really what it is. And now all of a sudden Trump's side is talking about, this is funded by, there he was trolling. It's like basically, he's being backed by Putin just because he wants him to win. So it's all about these mind games. But yeah, so with him being like this, I believe they're skipping his the cognizant test. It's like he's one of the first presidents that's going to skip that cognizant test. Do you think a president, with what you've seen so far, skipping that, is that something that should happen at this point?
What's the
specialization? It's basically to test like how he responds. Period. It's like where his head's at and how, like, if he's early onset or something like that.
Yeah.
If they got to do that, he got to resign, man. They got to do that. He got to resign.
Yeah.
You still giving him a C? Look,
I'm giving him a C. I'm average on it. But if you had to tell me back in 2016, if I would know what I know now, would I vote for him? No.
That's like giving a doctor a C grade, right? And he operating on you. I'm like, hell no, man, give me the motherfucker after A.
Look at Toby making too much sense. Boy, you making too much sense,
bro. Like, bro, why are you gonna be a doctor to operate? I mean, nah, bro. You just barely passing. Nah, man, you can't do it, bro. I need the guy with the A.
Did you die though? But did you die?
What's up, Scooby Doo?
No, I still give him a C. But like again, if you told
what's holding up the grade?
If you told me if I had to vote for him again this time around, I probably wouldn't.
Yeah. So are you leaning, or are you not voting?
I'm all about fairness. And if a Republican person or a Democratic person shares some of their views on certain things, and if I agree with some of those views, then I'm gonna push for it. You know what I mean? And again, I'm all about uniting the country. If that person has a voice to unite the country and be fair about it, and have constructive criticism, have an open transparency among certain groups or all the other groups, then I'm for it, man. Yeah. It could be Republican or Democrat, And honestly, I was really hoping someone else from the Democratic Party and Republican Party would run this last one.
Well, they tried.
I was ready to go outside.
You know who I liked the most was that Indian dude,
Vivek Ramaswamy.
Bro, that guy was.
I'm going to tell you something right now. That boy is something else. Wow, right? And when I actually started following him, he is I swear he's AI. Just he's Google in the head. Have either so Charles Lucky, have you heard this dude?
I don't know
I
who
heard
he
him. I
is.
heard him talk.
Have you heard him at what's it called? Town halls where he welcomes people. I was like, and have you heard him when he's getting pressed by mainstream
the
media?
left, yep.
Oh boy.
He
Like
Was he running for it this
yeah.
He
election?
was, but he
He
dropped
was
out.
running. He dropped.
he dropped
and
out. I'm sure if Trump wins, he'll put him in some cabinet somewhere.
we'll see. He said
Yeah,
he said they asked him, it's like, would you accept vice presidency if Trump took you on? And this was while he was still running, and he was like, I'm not running for vice president, I'm running for the presidency. But at this time, it's like, I don't think Trump would put him on. Trump is an egotistical dude, and he's not that guy.
Yeah.
Vivek is not the guy to be like, okay, sir. It's like, nah.
Yeah,
Vivek
no.
wants it all. But then I think this is a good situation for Vivek to catapult because a lot of people like him.
Yep.
Have you guys seen? Have you guys at all taken a look at Robert Kennedy? RBK? RKJ?
Is he running?
Honestly,
Is he running?
He's
Against?
running. So he was actually and this is where I got frustrated with the whole Democratic Party, just because they wouldn't, like, they weren't even going to allow Biden to debate anybody. They said, no, we're not doing all that. They wouldn't put him in front. And it's like, Robert Kennedy Jr. wanted to debate him. He wanted to run Democrat because, you know, the entire family and everything, their history. He's very vocal, very outspoken, very political. And of course, with his lineage, very presidential. He can definitely do that. But he also was going against Big Pharma just because of, you know, he's an attorney, and he knows too much. He knows too much. He's lived it. He's been grassroots and everything like that. So,
right.
Of course, Big Pharma don't want that voice, don't want that negativity. So they kind of just outed him in certain ways. But now he's running, I believe, I don't know if he's running independent, but he's running third party.
Wow.
Oh shit.
So he's out
Robert
there.
Kennedy? He's actually
Robert
running third
Kennedy
party?
Jr. Robert Kennedy Jr. He's got him, like, you should look it up. Look him up. He's I like what he's saying. I like what he stands for. He's not gonna win just because he's more like your Bernie. You know, doesn't stand for what the Bernie stands for, but then he's that third party that'll never get enough votes. But unfortunately, it's one of those things to where if you're anti-Biden, you're gonna vote Robert Kennedy, but that Robert Kennedy vote takes away from the Trump vote. You see what I'm saying? So, if you're, and that's his presence right there actually hurts Trump just because he cuts into his votes. Yeah. So he's the other one there. But there's another one, but like it's almost not even worth mentioning just because it's a two-pony race. It's a two-pony race.
That's what they want it to be, you know. That was always.
Well, and what you guys were saying is like, and we can all hope this. I mean, even when we were kids, it's like, let's just have world peace. Let's have, you know, peace around the streets and everything like that, and have somebody unite us all. The one that's going to be the least successful in uniting us all, unfortunately, is going to be Trump. He's at current state with how the media hates his guts. Big Bank hates his guts because he wants to give money back. They're never going to allow him to unify the people just because the media is always going to be against him. It's fact. It's just fact. I'm not saying anything to where it's like, oh, you're a Trumpist. It's like, no, you see it every single day with the 6-hour news cycle. So he's not going to be one to unite it unless there is an overhaul of what real media is at that point, real news.
Right. Destruction needs to happen before creation could happen. So the old system got to be destroyed before we could even go to the new system, you know? So
it's starting, bro. It's starting.
I see
Twitter is going crazy. Twitter is actually borning a lot of independent news. Us talking like this is giving birth to more knowledge within the streets. Whoever's going to listen to us. I mean, I'm going to bump the crap out of this thing, you know, and I'm going to cut it up and put it out there.
Right.
And
but as a collective, right? Like as your podcast, our podcast, we see many other people that jumping on as a collective. I think it's going to be a push, you know, and it's going to take time, but
it'll take time.
I think the people are starting to wake up, and the people are starting to see that the world's not right. So you know, everybody's responsible.
As much as I want like to see everybody like unite and come together, and I don't think that's going to happen because as long as we're divided, it's easier to control us. So I don't think they're going to put somebody there to get us, to go back together because once we're together, we're going to be able to vote, and our vote's actually going to make a real difference. But if we keep, divided and putting these people in power where nobody could agree on, whoever's running from behind could do whatever they want without us knowing, because all we notice is the things that we don't like.
Yeah, it's that's 100,000% correct. I was like, the more you divide, the more you divide masses, the easier they are to control. The unfortunate side of that also, though, is, and I think it's why people are waking up, is you divided it so much to where now you're like in smaller segments. It was left and right, then all of a sudden it's left, right, and then you've got pro BLM, pro and then now you're breaking it down, pro Israel, pro Palestine, and then you're breaking all that stuff up. And if one side moves into the other, or you're kind of just carrying over in the middle, not everybody's going to agree that all these granular breakdowns are still on the same side. They're going to eventually move towards the middle. It's like, yo, y'all are crazy. I was down for this side. I was down for it. Let's say, BLM rights. But at the same time, you guys are talking about, spraying some, and breaking down some wall or some statue just because they're Palestinian or Israelites, or hurting some Jews over here. It's like, no, I just want BLM rights. So it's getting a little crazy. So I think this, the more they separate us, the more we actually start coming together.
That's like when a girl asks you to go home with her, you show up and you go home with her. Now there's an orgy there. You're like, what? I didn't sign up for this. Now you gotta go.
And then that note,
you know what I'm saying? Like, whoa.
You didn't sign up for
Don't want to take my party.
Okay. I think that's Toby telling
I know
us,
you participating. Don't lie, bro. You participating.
That's another episode. That's another episode.
What party is this?
Not the Democratic Party, I'll tell you that. Or conservative. Yo, fellas, I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, how much more, can we push this and like to where like I'm gonna tell you guys right now, I can keep going. You guys are amazing conversationalists. I have so much in common with you guys, and I just vibe so well with, like, even without you guys having like this, without us having this conversation, and I'm listening to you guys, I swear. And so everybody that's watching right now, please tune in. The topics, and like it's real topics. It's real, like, true experience from your living room type of topics. And you guys share, you guys share like old trips of, like, going back then and how you guys even woke up, or this and that. It gets down to that granular. You guys are, allow yourself to be very open out there. It's very brave. And it's also, it's commending to number one, be, I think, what the first Lao podcast in California known, and to start, just say, you know what, we're going to represent our community. And you guys haven't misrepresented, because you guys are actually speaking from experience and from, just how family is. So the podcast, the YouTube channel is youtube.com/Now in Session.
Now in Session.
Yeah.
Now in Session. NOWINSESSION. Y'all just peep it out. Especially if you're in Southeast Asian descent, or if you are Southeast Asian, Lao, Thai, Cambodian, Cali. If you're from Cali, you should listen to these guys. You will definitely nod your head. It's like, yep, that's Uncle, or that's Matt, or this and that. So you guys will definitely please check them out. I'll drop the link here. I'll drop the link in the YouTube. But anything else, like, what's next? What's next for the group? I'm kind of just like rounding this out. I'm seeing a little bit of drowsiness in the eyes. So what's next for the group? Let us know.
What's next for the group?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think, first, man, thank you, Raymond, for having us on, man. Really appreciate you plugging us in. And we've been meaning to connect with you for some time too. So definitely we want to uplift our podcast community. You know, man, you've been doing a great job at doing this live thing every Monday and the credible work and really highlighting some of the work that you do for your community, man. It's good to know that you have people at different podcast groups supporting you, you know, and uplifting each other. So that's what I wanted to share. But as far as our group, man, we told ourselves this year we will definitely be out in the community more. That's something that we're trying to learn and navigate and build better relationships with. Honestly, we don't care about the following thing. It's more about us being in the community and letting them know that, hey, there is a voice for you guys. It's with us as well, but you guys are part of this voice together. Mm-hmm. And having an open conversation about those things and being very intimate with our fan base and people that really just don't know us yet. Mm-hmm. So being really out there is some of the things that we're targeting right now, right, guys? Toby,
yeah,
Travis?
I think
to La New Year. Sorry about that, Toby. Are you guys still coming in Loud New Year?
Yeah.
Is that still going on? Okay.
Yeah,
so
we're still gonna make
I don't know when you guys coming down. Are you guys coming down that Friday or just Saturday or what's the plan?
I think that Friday.
That Friday?
Yeah,
okay.
We're gonna fly in Saginaw, right? We're going for Saginaw New Year.
Mm-hmm. So let me know when you guys fly in. We'll hang on after we end the stream. Let me know what time you guys fly in. I'm already starting to take a look at the what do you call that thing? The studio, so where we can come together. If you guys have time, let's just go ahead and get that together. We'll do a live show there. Jimmy from Drunken Elephant is trying to make it, but you know they work during Fridays. Saturdays, it's forget about it, and Sundays when you're gonna forget about it. So Fridays gotta have to be the day, guys. So when you guys come into town, we'll put it together. Ooh, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, we down. We down. Just gotta have some tequila. You gotta have some bottles and stuff.
So
we down.
The question is, do you want to be on the float or do you want to be on the street? Because it's a different ending. It's a different ending to your day.
What's more fun?
Huh. Yeah, which one's fun?
Which one do you want to remember?
I want to go on a float. Let's do the float.
Go on the float.
Yeah.
Let me know. Yeah. We'll definitely get you guys on the float. You as soon as it's on there, we'll just pick which one. There's definitely several. It's gonna be a lot of fun, guys.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
All right.
Hell yeah.
Shit, looking forward to it.
All right, so keep your eye out on that. So Saginaw Loud New Year, I think it's the last week of April, starting Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The actual Loud New Year celebration here in Texas starts actually in about a couple of weeks here in one of the smaller temples, and then all of a sudden it just hops in the DFW area. Got to save your liver. So it's one of those things to where it is that, and if you don't want to partake in those inebriations, there's still plenty of culture. Plenty of just excitement and energy, and the vibe is dope. And it just really starts ramping up. Actually, the smaller celebration here is in Wat Kimbo, which is basically it gets you up, just like, oh, here we are again, and then everything just kind of hits here. Then all of a sudden, boom, Saginaw, and then go back home and try to prep again for next year.
So there's multiple temples?
There is.
Oh,
there's quite a few around, and there's always one every week. There's multiple some weeks, and all of them are like, you know, definitely the cultures are all there. One of the weekends is the Cambodian temple, which is one of the bigger ones around here. That one's a really solid celebration, excuse me. And then there's the one Rockwall. Rockwall is the one that's more in Dallas. That's one of the bigger actual temples around here. And then Saginaw is just it's everything.
Okay.
So can't wait till you guys come to town. We're gonna go ahead and end this. Fellas, just go and hang tight. Everybody else tuned in, now in session fans.
Thank you guys for tuning in, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank y'all. We'll see you guys next week.
All right, see you.